with liberty and justice for all. All right, we are here tonight to continue our discussion supporting our review of our city's goals and associated policies. There's no specific format to our workshop except that we were all kind of expected to review the materials and present ideas. I have a small PowerPoint presentation that I'm going to do to share mine, because I took things in a little different direction than you guys probably expected, but the goal is to continue a conversation about how to improve our comprehensive plan and basically figure out what we're going to tee up now and what is preparatory work for the next comprehensive plan revision. Do I volunteer for going first? Mary, you want to go first?
Sure, I can go first.
All right.
So I didn't anticipate that we were all just going to go independently. I thought we were going to talk through it, but
Well, we can.
here goes. So when I went through the goals, as I was looking at it, I wasn't seeing, really honestly, much problem.
Okay.
So for instance, just a sampling, on 4, the city of Hayden should encourage the development of land within the corporate limits of Hayden prior to annexation of adjacent areas. I think that is far preferable than to allow sprawl. And I realize that means that the what appears to be a landlocked area field that the deer play in, and there's lots of trees and it's beautiful. But we would rather develop that than sprawl out further.
Okay.
It's also, those kind of areas aren't good areas for parks because the access is so limited. It almost feels like you create a park that's very private, and that's not what the community needs. So I've had you guys jump in and you just take over and go through the whole policy.
To be honest, on that exact one that you just hinted on, I would say before I got involved in planning and zoning, I would have 100% disagreed with you.
Okay.
I thought annexing would help the density issue and allow people to buy more property and grow that way. But once I've learned like sewer complications and infrastructure issues, I now would definitely agree with what you just said.
You guys look at the policies associated, and was there anything that jumped out as out of place or funny or?
Well, so what we were talking about last week was whether or not, correct me if I'm wrong, but I felt like we were looking at what made more sense, the policies before the goals or the goals and then the policies. And so I just looked at it as though I read the goals, I went through the goals, and then I went through each one of the policies to make sure that the policy actually made the goal make sense.
Okay, right, and that's what I'm asking.
And that's how I looked at everything, not the other way around.
No, that's good.
And so I don't have a whole lot to go against either with what you just said.
So, and I went through, I looked at the goals and the policies completely independent of one another, just as them standing alone by themselves, to determine if anything felt wrong. Okay. I don't want to move on from 4 if anybody else has comments about 4.
The other one I was thinking of was, didn't we have one that came across as the annexation across that small area there that's county? I was thinking about that, across from like Panhandle Health. And I agree, but I kind of agree with like what Brand, like what Brandon just reiterated, that it should be probably small parcels that can be redeveloped within the city is probably better than sprawl. But then I think of things like, when we talk about annexation, like I believe that one came to us and didn't they wanted to be annexed, the landowner, didn't they? They want to cross some Panhandle Health. So I don't know if that throws a curveball on anything, but I mean, how do you approach? I mean, there was neighbors who were against annexation, I believe, when they, was that Bean Avenue?
Well, the good thing is it doesn't forbid it, it just says it should encourage it. So the idea is well, let me phrase that. If there's an issue of actions on land, it would be taken off, preferably within the city limits. It doesn't forbid or.
Right, but I meant,
Right,
how do you,
yeah.
I guess I was trying to think about on that one, how do you balance the desires of the landowner to be annexed, but the wishes of the people up against it were pretty overwhelmingly against annexation. I mean, ultimately, it's, I mean, we don't want to get into a litigious situation, but ultimately, if the landowner wants to be annexed, I mean, it's really the decision between them and the city, but is that not considered desirable then? I guess I'm just trying to open up
But-
a broad range of discussion here.
Yeah, but that's what we face all the time, is that's why we have goals and policies, so that we can look at the needs of the whole community and the rights of the landowner.
Yeah,
It's all, that is our balance every time something comes in front of
Yeah.
us.
It seems like two separate issues to me, because I think that if the property owner wants to be annexed, that's that's a yes or a no, basically. And then the other part would be, we're focusing on, developing what we already have. So it seems like two separate issues. But if they want to be annexed, I think they should be allowed to be annexed. It's their property.
What he mentioned though, like one of the things about the neighbors that were really anti that being annexed, I think they were more anti about what, once it was going to be annexed, what the people wanted to do with the property, more than they were against the idea of it being annexed.
yeah, I guess that's true. I guess I forgot that part. And
So
That's,
different.
that's out of our
different
wheelhouse, so, I mean,
Yeah.
Eventually.
yeah.
But if it's their property, though, I mean, what they want to do with their property, I think to me, it outweighs what the neighbors want them to do with their property.
It's a balance.
Yeah, it
In
is
the
a
comp plan,
balance.
There's various places that we have to, or various parts of the comp plan we have to consider when we make our decisions. So as far as number 4 goes, it's because I don't want to get down a rabbit hole too
Yes.
far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should any of it be reworded or not? I mean, I think that's what the city is looking for, is it's just the review to say, this goal doesn't make sense, this goal should be reworded, or not.
I don't think so.
I
I think it's,
think it's good where it is.
Okay.
Yeah, and that goes back to infill and things, right? And that's
Yeah.
what everybody says is, let's try and fill what we have already, but then we have our area of city. So you're not gonna be asking for annexation if you're outside that area of city impact. And then in our policies, kind of help to expound on what the goals are. So we're not saying you can't be annexed in, but we'd like to be ambiguous. And so it kind of helps to clarify that a little bit more on what.
Well, and like Brendan said right from the beginning, is that he realizes that that's because that sprawl, not allowing that sprawl, is because of the cost of the infrastructure to get it there. We want to keep the infrastructure where it's at first.
Definitely sewer and water.
Well,
Right.
And it also seems like the big hot button right now for growth, the fingers are being pointed at the Hayden Canyon development, the Stone Creek North development, both things that had been annexed in the last 10, 12 years.
Well, I think that Hayden Canyon was 20 years ago, like that ship sailed.
2006.
Was it
Oh,
26?
long time.
Yeah, all those developments actually were approved well before any of us were on planning.
Right,
and
but the
zoning.
people are seeing the things happening now because
Yeah.
it's just now happening.
Yeah, and they all assumed it happened yesterday.
Right.
Yeah. So if
Yep.
unless you have anything in between, I then looked at 9 and 11.
Mhm.
And, let's see. again, this is another one of those. So the number 9 is ensure adequate park, recreation, open space are provided and maintained for the continued enjoyment of the community. 11 is emphasize the enhancement and maintenance of existing parks while creatively seeking ways to acquire and develop future recreational facilities that meet a variety of community recreational interests. I mean, if we're really wanting to just work things up, I look at those and I'm like, those could be combined. But I don't know that that's really, I don't, you know,
I think the 11 was also catering to, we recently had the survey results where there were quite a few people that were interested in a senior recreation facility of some sort. Whereas like number 9 doesn't seem like it's part of
yeah,
that.
it's more about parks.
Right.
Yeah,
And open space, which I definitely want more, as much open space as possible.
When I was with Parks and Rec, we had a lot of different amenities that people wanted in the parks, and that all costs a lot of money, but people don't want to, pay more taxes, which is understandable. But I don't think that our parks are really meeting what people want. So we have, a lot of people wanting, say, splash pads, and everybody wants splash pads or certain sports parks and stuff like that. And I think we had somebody come by wanting an RC kart track. And so it's like, oh, these are great, we'd love to have all these things.
Did the Boy Scouts build one at Lancaster? Yeah, Eagle Scout this last
Yeah.
year.
I saw that out of profit.
Yeah, but it's these amenities that I think it's hard. So I mean, like we had to continually push it, further and further down the lane because we didn't have money. We couldn't figure out how to get these things to work. So, yeah, that was a big problem for us.
And that's always the issue is the funding to get it.
Yeah.
We got the lowest tax basis from all the surrounding cities, so we can't do a lot of stuff.
Apparently, Mountain Dew likes to sponsor a lot of things. Yeah.
well, and that's the thing, it's when, all those things you listed that people want, to me, those are opportunities for private enterprise.
Corporate sponsors.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's how we got the Broadmoor disc golf park.
yeah.
And that's part of it, like when we have a subdivision come before us and require open space and parks and that's when their opportunity comes along to get some more parks.
Was that supposed to be? I think it was supposed to be 1/10 of the property was supposed to be parks, right? If
What's
they're
the-
doing a subdivision,
What's
it's supposed to
the
be 1/10.
I think that's based off of the agreement at that time.
development
Can
agreement?
you jump in?
So there isn't a requirement for park dedication at the time of subdivision. Open space or park dedications happen with planned unit developments, sometimes with annexations. And so if it happens at the time of annexation, and then when the property develops, then they put the park in,
So that's part of like the development agreement when they're annexed in.
the annexation agreement.
And that's, when we approve annexation, that's not,
It's
Do we
part of the
say-
conversation. Your recommendation from planning and zoning is more about if the city council chooses to annex said property, then the zoning that they're proposing makes sense or doesn't make sense. Okay.
So as you step through these 2 parks, 9 and 11, any changes of words or you think they're fine?
I think they're fine.
I don't see any need. The next one was 12. So establish a balance between jobs and housing, attracting employment and living opportunities. So I wrote myself a note that I would want to hear reasoning as to why this would need to be changed. Because if we don't maintain a balance between jobs and housing, then we strictly become a bedroom community and then our citizens end up paying higher taxes because they don't have commerce to share the tax base with. So.
Well, I'm not aware of anybody wanting to get rid of 12, so I mean, it's a good
Okay.
thought. It's a good thought exercise.
Okay, well, yeah, and that's kind of what
Anybody got any issues or comments on 12?
My comment is, it seems like it's simply a goal that we're not achieving.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Oh, that's,
What about the light industrial area on the northwest part of town? I mean, a lot of those businesses up there are new.
Like in.
And I know they're not all full, but,
Market,
what's that?
in market.
well, and then there's the development on the corner of Ramsey and Hayden that,
It's being built.
Oh,
It's just
yeah.
office
It's
stuff
just office
is
space.
that just office?
in garage and office space,
Okay.
like the Aspen homes.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think it's political, no.
Oh, no, it's not any kind of housing.
Across from that high coast.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that was, didn't they try to make that, they were trying to do duplexes or something.
They're trying to do a
It was a
small,
woodwork idea and then it got,
It didn't get past some council.
yeah.
right, right.
Yeah, so I mean, I think in some ways you look at that and that would be not really working through the goals of the comp plan. And some of these we can almost just rearrange so that they follow an order.
Oh, like they kind of categorize?
11 should be 10.
Oh. I don't know that that was really worth our time to exercise that. We could think about that when we do the next one, but this one I think we're good. What were the other ones that I was looking at? Yeah, but I wanted to look at the others here real quick. Yeah, I think that 17 actually, well, let me read it. Promote and encourage the development and rehabilitation of quality housing through a variety of housing options. And it says and densities, and I would, if I was going to make any change, I would take and densities off of there.
Okay.
I would just let housing options stand on its own.
Is it more of a stigmatism that you're,
It's more of a perception, I think.
that's what I mean, yeah.
Because the goals and policies really don't, it isn't their job, goals and policies, to address how dense,
Mhm.
what density is, how we define density. And so to take that out of there, I think that could be helpful just in the perception of things, because we don't determine that density. Yeah, your text.
Hey, sir, can you put that on? Oh, sorry, that's okay.
Yeah, just here and chat. Thank you.
So Aiden, whoever's putting notes together for sharing with city council, kind of the output of this, that might be the first point I think made here is consider omitting and densities from goal 17.
It'll be in the record.
And does anybody have a problem with that idea?
Unless, yeah, obviously we don't agree.
I don't either.
No,
No, because I think the densities come in the future land use.
Okay.
Okay.
What do you think about removing either promote or encourage, because aren't they synonymous? We can have it just say encourage the development. It seems like that's kind of redundant.
Yeah, it is redundant. I agree
Well,
with you.
All of that, and we don't really promote that.
Well, again, these are city's goals, so it's not us, P&Z, it's more the city.
Well, no, I realize that, but the city doesn't really promote that either. Again, it's a perception thing.
shouldn't be in the business of promoting it.
Well, and we aren't. So that's why I'm saying if we remove that word,
Have it just stay as encourage the
But
development.
I think remote works because when somebody comes in with a plan to a city, we want to see the quality of development. So I think you can say promote.
Especially when you're using the word rehabilitation. I think that that's really helpful when somebody's wanting to come in and rehab some really terrible properties that could otherwise be much nicer and help our property taxes.
well, and we have approved some projects since I've been on that one is still sitting as a house that is way past its useful life.
Yeah, on Government Way.
Right, and another, they've scraped and have started building a nicer structure there. So even though we all like to think that our town is absolutely perfect, and it is in many, many wonderful ways, every structure isn't. And some structures are past their life.
And rehabilitation, I think.
And rehabilitation is an appropriate way of addressing that.
Hayden, those apartments there, I think were
Oh,
huge, that good rehabilitation. Yeah.
much, a way step forward of what was there.
So you guys want to keep it in there, or maybe Nuke and encourage
Maybe advocate,
or advocate the development?
advocate and encourage.
We could change promote and encourage to advocate.
Or just advocate for the development and
Yeah.
rehab and get rid of promote and encourage. all
Yeah.
the other-
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that.
Swap,
And I
swap
just
it.
realized that the property taxes on it say property values.
Okay,
Knew what you meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
what's next?
And 19 seems to be a little bit of a hot also.
Mhm.
Enhance non-motorized connectivity and reduce the highway's impact on the community. It's interesting because I was there when we did Imagine Hayden. I was one of the citizens that wasn't connected to P&Z or anything else
Mhm.
that was there, going through the stations, making my feelings about each thing part of this. And I feel good about that, is that I was part of being citizen input.
Mhm.
And it's interesting because I've heard a little chatter on, well, we don't need a lot of bike lanes and that kind of stuff. Well, let me tell you, as a person who rides her bike,
Mhm.
I love to ride my bike.
Mhm.
And I ride my bike 5 miles to my job. And so the bike lane that was added along 95 is so wonderful. And I feel safe riding on it and all of that. I do not feel the same when I have to then ride up Prairie. Because now I have to be on sidewalk
Mhm.
or on bike lane that goes to no bike lane,
Sure.
going the wrong direction because I don't want to cross Prairie.
Mhm.
So- And let me tell you, I have had some close calls, feeling the cars awfully close to me.
Okay. So what would you do with goal 19 then?
Well, so I think that we do need to be appreciative of any developers that want to include
Okay.
bike lanes and connective walking paths and those kind of things.
So that might be a policy that you would stick in there.
So this is
create a new
well, no, this is a goal that I want this to be in there.
Mhm.
Like you want 19 to be a more priority or something?
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to figure out what would change. Like, would you
Well,
write a new policy to support 19? Would you reword 19?
Well, I think there are policies that already do.
Yep, they're in there. Just wanted to
Right.
know if you had wanted to change.
No,
or add.
I would advocate for that not to be changed is my point
Okay.
on that.
Okay, understand.
Because the more options our citizens have
Mhm.
of moving through our community without being in vehicles
Mhm.
takes pressure off of the roads.
Sure.
I see a lot of kids too now with the e-bikes and stuff.
Oh, yeah,
And the
See a lot more kids riding.
skateboards, the battery powered
Yeah.
skateboards.
right.
So you see a lot more kids out riding their bikes, it seems like, and I notice a lot of, myself included, older people out using them as well. So I think it's actually becoming more important than even when we started this. We used to think of, with Iron Man and everybody used to ride their bikes for exercise and stuff, but people are using it more for transportation
Just
now
for transportation.
because
Yeah.
they don't have to pedal as much. So I know it's
I
semi-motorized,
still
but
actually like to ride my real bike.
I see a lot more people
Yes.
out on bikes.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, so I do think you're right. It's more important than it was even 5 or 6 years ago.
So can we talk out one of the policies regarding that one?
Yeah,
Number 18. Minimize financial and operational impacts resulting from road improvement projects and maintenance. So if our goal is to, sounds like spend money on making that more available, then how does our policy that says minimize financial impacts correlate?
So I would say that when we're doing our capital improvements, roundabouts, improving intersections, those kind of things, that when we're doing those, that
Build it
we
into that.
consider including bike paths and areas that would make it safer for people that are in non-motorized.
I think a lot of federal ones do require some type of non-motorized component to them when you take the grant. And not a lot of our roads, we have to do the awareness because there just aren't money to do them.
Right.
So I think we'll see it occur, and also I would say to your point, that we're minimizing some of the financial aspects because more people on a bike and less people in their car, it's less wear and tear on the road.
And potentially if we're making it safer, there's less fatality or
What the-
yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
Mhm.
all right.
We'll see what's called for sheriff or whatever it might be.
Right.
So we've gone through the goals. So does somebody else want to take these on the policies?
Well, I don't think we've gone through all the goals, just the ones you kind of beat up.
Oh, well, yeah, okay. Is there any other ones that you guys want to go through?
Assuming that Sean and Brandon and Ben and Joel went through the goals, or they might have some thoughts too. Right.
Oh, gosh. Hey, you made me first.
Yeah, here first.
No, I like that she took the lead on that and brought up some points, but no offense, as we went through the points, we all were like, we came back to, we like the goals the way that they are.
There was very, very minimal
Yeah.
changes.
Because the goals are all positive.
Absolutely.
You look like your wheels are spinning.
No, let's slap it inside because my presentation goes in a different direction.
Okay.
Of course you do.
Sean?
I think we're just going down through all these because in the, the citizen survey it was talking about maintaining small town Hayden and less growth. Or, less growth, less density. I think it seems to be that everybody wants us to be a single family community. And Donna, I noticed you put something in there about, is there a state mandate that you have to have a variety of housing types?
The local land use planning act says that in your housing chapter of your comprehensive plan, you will identify a variety of housing types.
Gotcha. Because I remember I had made that suggestion once, and this is really how everybody wants to go. Why don't we just make the whole city half acres and call it good?
And I read that section into the record at the last meeting.
So,
And what she also stated was there's not just a percentage that needs to meet everything. They're just, it's
just
fairly
has to be a-
ambiguous.
it's kind of, but then I think on the goal number 3, again, maintaining an attractive and balanced mix of land uses, densities, and housing types. Then going back to what we just talked about, where we got rid of densities from that statement,
Mm-hmm.
would probably be appropriate there as well.
Mhm.
Goal 3?
Like the housing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Housing types kind of denote density, or vice versa.
Well, because these don't really have anything to do with density. Density doesn't come into this.
Right. Mhm.
Yeah. Good catch. I knew there was some more in there, but I missed that one. Thank you.
Okay, what else?
Goal number 6, it says to promote an identity-rich downtown core. I hate to say it, but it doesn't feel like we have much of a downtown. You drive,
Just gonna bring.
if we drive into downtown Coeur d'Alene, you know there's downtown. Post Falls, kind of, not really.
Not really.
But it seems like we don't. So I kind of feel like we should maybe put in create into number 6. So create and promote a downtown.
Unfortunately, it feels like the ship sailed already for us to have a Sherman Drive kind of downtown here in Hayden. I don't know that
I kind of feel like that.
that
Like maybe this new development
be-
here could have been, we had this guy come, they at one point came out, wanted to do residential above.
Yeah, I remember that.
In restaurants.
And we had to, I think, do an amendment of some sort to allow that, and then he never developed it, but, now it's all just medical buildings. It could have been a great spot for.
Oh, you're
Little
talking about like
Riverstone,
Wayne,
Yeah,
like Wayne through there?
yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty much become niche
yeah, so that's not gonna
for
be,
medical.
But we do have small businesses buying old businesses, updating the facades, and, I mean, it's filling, and I think it's just gonna take time.
yeah, it's not gonna have that, maybe you think it was a going school downtown with brick buildings and.
Yeah, it's not gonna look like Sharp.
Yeah, it doesn't exactly need to look like Sherman, but I also, if you go up Hayden, we have a little sign that says, you're kind of going into Hayden, but otherwise you might not know. Like if you blink, then you'd think you're still in Coeur d'Alene. So maybe just like something that you'd say, oh yeah, this is Hayden.
But as far as the goal goes, do you have an issue with the city making it a goal, whether they make the goal or not? I mean, is it worthwhile
Well,
to
because
say
we-
that we're gonna promote identity-rich downtown core?
No, it's not wrong to say that. And the truth of the matter is that's a private enterprise. It will change as
The market.
the market allows.
Yeah.
We as the city can encourage it, but we don't drive that.
Well, you have, we do have a downtown overlay that kind of tries to create,
CBD.
yeah, like a central business district. Some of the requirements of that area now, so we're trying, or the city's trying to promote that. We just haven't had it come before us. It's fairly rigorous, I think, of what we're asking people to do.
Yeah. Do we consider our downtown from, say, Rite Aid up to Hayden Avenue or like?
There's actually a map in the back of your comp plan.
It's like
That should be- Should be appendix B, I think, that's all that is.
It looks like this. It's in the back of your comp plan.
So there is.
It's right after the future land
there
use
is
map.
a corollary to that, number 6, through zoning regulations.
There is a central business district in the zone code with design standards and requirements that came out of the downtown vitalization plan several years ago.
Is it down to?
I think you're right. I think it's miles.
Then Grenada on the south side up to Dakota on the north side. Pretty
Dakota.
much follow the really nice decorative light poles.
Yeah.
That's the downtown.
From the blue plate to this word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blue plate to prairie.
They're on the outskirts.
They have good eggs Benedict, by the way, on
Yeah.
Sundays.
Yeah.
Who does?
Razzles.
Oh, really? What else, folks?
Any other goals that you do with that?
I don't have any.
Nothing?
No,
Okay. All right, well, you guys want, I did put together a presentation where I kind of took a round turn on this.
Do we want to go through policies?
It's up to you. This is,
You guys-
we run a,
Well, policies first?
So one for goals, one for policies.
no, actually, well, you'll see now. I have one set of slides. It's actually a real short deck. We can go through policies if you want.
Well, I just have a feeling you're gonna spin this off into different directions, so I
It could
thought
be.
maybe we could look at these.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, no, that's great. So what did your review policies come up with then?
I don't want to circumvent anybody else.
No, go ahead. This is a collegial group.
Mm-hmm. So I felt like I went through and it wasn't just things that need to be changed, but things that I felt strongly about. So on,
Although I'm not sure if city council, I'm sure they care, but I'm not sure that, I don't know what about the utility of saying, gosh, we really love policy 5, right? You know what I'm trying to say? I mean, I'm glad you like some of them, but I'm not sure that's the point of,
Well-
Because they asked us to revisit kind of the goals and policies.
right. So like the,
Mr. Mayor, welcome. You're welcome to sit at the table if you want, and if you want to stand back there, I just want to acknowledge you're here.
Actually, I have no wish to get into the commission's business, but I'll take this.
Thank you for joining us.
well, I appreciate you being here. Hi, it's been a while.
It has been
Good
a
to
while.
see ya.
Nice to see you guys.
Policy 4,
All right,
Yeah.
policy 4?
policy 4, can we switch, I'm assuming circulation means traffic flow. Can we change circulation to traffic flow?
If that's what the group wants, I'm fine recommending that to city council.
Which
Any
one?
comments?
What number are you on?
Number
Number
4.
four.
Policy.
Maybe just looking for a little more clarity on what circulation was meant to
Not meaning
support.
sewer water.
I'm sure it's not blood,
I
right?
didn't see that. News last night.
No, like,
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm on board with that being more obvious. So it says traffic.
City, do you want to clarify on circulation?
Circulation is traffic.
Traffic. Yeah, maybe we can
Movement
just make a
movement
little,
of people through your space.
Transportation.
Transportation, yes,
yep, transportation's fine.
because it can be motorized and non-motorized.
I mean, what, I just was looking at, where's it? The number 11 also, back to the goals that we removed density on.
Mm-hmm.
We can promote nodes of development in the downtown and strategically along transportation corridors.
And omit and density
Oh,
from
yeah.
policy 11?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
that's fine. So I assume same with 12,
Yeah.
although actually the context probably not.
No, I think on that one, it actually makes sense.
Yeah, it
because
makes sense,
you're Talking
yeah.
about
Transitioning between
The
higher density should be.
a transition,
Mm-hmm.
not a brick wall.
And that's what we've had, and that's always seems to be one of the people before us is, you know, there's duplexes here, and single family here, fourplex. That's always the rub is people don't want to be up next to multifamily typically. It seems like.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's one of the things that is good with our future land use map is that it does identify that here we have single family. We don't want someone wanting to put apartments per se right up against there. We want a transitional area. So we could put duplexes or triplexes there, and it's less evasive feeling, has a less oppressive feeling right up against there. What's
Or the cottages or something like that.
exactly, or a PUD or something like that, right up against the single family, so that we graduate away from the single family if there's gonna be any high density. But, and then make sure that that higher density is right along the corridors that can most handle the traffic.
Yes, I think that policy, I mean, I don't say transition zone between residential and industrial, but between single family and multifamily.
Right. Or multi-use.
Policy. Yeah, well,
And just be a little bit more detailed, so it says like residential to multi-residential to
You
commercial.
have to get that,
to-
I don't think you have to, you know, that's.
Yeah, because that's kind of the two opposite sides of the spectrum.
Yeah, because I mean, it doesn't, it's very rare to go from industrial to residential.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't even think we have any areas that would be zoned that way.
There's a few at the airport. Yeah.
Oh, around the airport.
Mhm.
Oh, yes. I know where we're talking, yeah.
I think transition zones between, and since we're talking densities, and they're probably transition between densities as well.
Yeah, they're just stating it that way. That's really ambiguous.
It's just a
What does that
policy.
look like? Yeah.
Policy that's implemented via the land use map, or fleshed out via
Mm-hmm.
the land use map.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what we should try to do anyway, isn't it? With the land use map, it's like, okay, you're gonna have multifamily here, we want to, you know, if it's 8 per acre or whatever it was, then maybe you go down to 4 per acre, and then it's
Well, that's.
possession, that's single family.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah, okay. I was gonna say, what's interesting is that, you know, we hear a lot of pushback on the future land use map. But the truth of the matter is that when you look at it, I'll drive government and I'll go, okay, well, I know what that is in the future land use map, but I know what it is today, and I don't see that changing. And I don't see that changing, I don't see that changing, I don't see that changing. So even, you know, you can look at the future land use map and go, oh my goodness, look at how many houses, how many dwellings there could be. But if you really look at what is, that is never gonna be, because
Some of it's already developed.
it's already developed in things that aren't residential or don't allow that many doors, that kind of stuff, you know? So there's, again, it's perspective and perception too. So anyways,
Yes.
no, if there was,
Changed or add that.
yeah, I'm just looking to see if there was anything.
Yeah, that was just on number 12.
I think 17 has. Something.
I don't know how we word that
Density.
exactly.
Yeah.
Make it any, that much better than what is already there.
I think we could just go through the policies and anywhere where it talked about density.
Yeah, that's about it.
So like 23, ensure land use and zoning compatibility related to development, density, and type occurring
I think
in
it,
close proximity. Is
That
that
one makes
appropriate there?
I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah, because
Absolutely.
that's talking about the airport.
Right, right. So this one, this 19, where it says ensure park and recreation facilities are easily visible and can be found with minimal effort. That's the one that I'm saying, that's why we can't take those pockets that are, you know, in the middle of the block where you've got houses all the way around and say, well, that should stay the open space. Because open space for who? What? That 24 houses that border it? That's not a community open, you know, that's not what that's meant.
You mean back to the goal?
Mm-hmm.
Right, right. I agree.
Right, right. So if we're gonna have open space and we're gonna have parks, it needs to be easily accessible to all the citizens, not just that private little.
It needs to be obvious, like Crawford Park,
Right.
Stoddard Park.
So is your issue with 19 that it's, needs to be omitted, it's not supportable, not sustainable?
No, it verifies my point from the earlier, sorry.
Just something you like?
I'm finding more that I think are really good than I am,
Okay.
that I think need a lot of changing.
I will say though, I think people would be more prone to use a smaller park that's within walking distance of their own residence versus, I mean, a Crawford, like, you know, my kids play sports there, like there's advantages to both.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But you're right, this does not, if it's back in some little neighborhood, it doesn't ensure, like, I wouldn't know it's there if you don't live in that neighborhood, but there's,
Well, I think
Yeah.
there's a park in Avery Estates, but does the community realize that's a community park? Because it sure feels like just a private park for Avery Estates.
So are we saying that regardless of our effectiveness, 19 is a good policy to have?
It's a good
As
policy.
opposed to saying it needs to be rewritten?
Yeah.
or-
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good policy because our parks need to be
She's
accessible
talking
to all
about
of
the
our
goal. What goal are we talking about though?
Well, it's policy 19.
It's
tied to
policy
goal, I
19.
think, on
But
the-
the, yeah, it was,
Yeah, goal.
Okay, I'm gonna be quiet, 'cause you
Yeah, be
don't.
quiet. No, it's all good. It's all good conversation.
So let's not mess with that.
I'm not going to tell you. Leave that one alone.
Think about it.
Okay, that's all right. We can say that there's goals and policies that are especially appreciated.
Well, you could, it kind of goes back to, you could have a mix of park and recreation facilities, you know, some that are pocket parks and some that are easily accessible to all. Profit's easily accessible, but.
But it's very niche for those people who want to do the big sports and that kind of stuff. But it's not going to be one that a young mom's going to bring her kids to.
Right.
You know, Emerald Estates has a nice community park
it really,
Playground or whatever.
Yeah. that's accessible to even people that don't live in that,
even though it's not part of the city.
even though it's not part of the city.
Mhm.
And they enjoy all of the city amenities.
So I don't know that you need 19 actually. Easily visible down minimal.
So, anyways, okay.
So not advocating any changes for policy 19, is that what I'm hearing?
Mhm.
Okay.
So,
I'm excited to see this.
gone through my list, so
Okay. Ben, more to add?
Mm-mm.
Brandon? Sean?
I want to see the PowerPoint.
yeah, we're
Trust me,
ready.
it's not that.
Did you pop our popcorn?
It's not,
I'm thinking we should move.
it's up to you. Where's it at?
Oh, where's it at? Good point.
Where is it, Alan?
I can drive if you tell me where it's at.
Sorry.
Alan, where is it? Can't use at, hit, and a sentence with preposition.
That's true. Not if it's proper English, right?
Mom was an English teacher.
Oh, so I bet your children have it perfect.
She cringes there sometimes.
Oh, I bet she does.
And you say that my wife's in HR and so my kid's EQ is really.
Oh.
Emotional.
Okay, so I took a different approach to this project. I kind of tackled it as if it was a document that I was going to rewrite. Part of my professional job, I write policies and procedures. And so I looked at this a little differently than just simply going down. Number one doesn't make sense. Number two doesn't make sense. I'm a big fan of to the point, and sometimes less is clearer than more. So these slides are just meant to be talking points, discussions. I really am interested in if you think this is a direction we should pursue with city council, or if I, whiffed, it's okay. Yeah, we've known each other long enough. I'm not going to take it personally.
You want us to relate it back to the current comp plan then, or did you do that?
Yeah, it's going to all be in here. So the first thing I looked at actually was the vision statement. I think this vision statement is really long. I think it's really ambiguous. And I think it has some things that I don't know really represent Hayden. And some examples of that include having a vision of, top tier K-12 schools. I'm not saying that's a bad idea. So, obviously we want our kids to get the very best education we have. But if we look at the facts, Idaho has, I think, right in the middle of the road schools where
There's no
nobody
high
relocates.
school in Hayden.
Yeah, and there's no high school. Nobody relocates to Hayden, Idaho because of our K-12 system. I also note that small town is mentioned twice, but that's a term like open space. So, if we talk about these things, they mean so many things to different people. To me, including them in a vision statement, again, is it clear? Or, if I say open space to a farmer that's got 5 acres out on the prairie, that's an open space. If I say open space to somebody in my cul-de-sac, they like there's a small grove of trees, and there's apples and oranges. It's huge. So the first thing I did was I whacked it down to something much smaller. Obviously, it could be massage day, wait till Sunday. I'm not stuck on any words. This is all just draft quality stuff. But the first thing I did was tried to encompass the 19 goals into a few sentences as possible to make sense. And again, these are just ideas.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts?
I like that it's much shorter. It's not as redundant.
I think that the top tier K-12 schools is an awesome goal for the school district.
Yeah.
But I don't know that our town, our community, our city government has much influence on that. So I think for that to be in the vision statement doesn't make a lot of sense.
Is this a topic that you would feel, again, in its current state and some future state where this is just used to get the ball rolling? Is this something you guys would want to talk about with city council, or is it something where, no, we probably shouldn't? And again, be honest.
I'd encourage it. Well, and it's all part of, I mean, we're supposed to always kind of readdress this and look at this, and it's a living document, correct? So
It's a living document.
Yeah. You know, and I know part of this is based off of, you know, what we get back from our citizen input on the survey. And I think boiling it down a little bit more helps. If we could also implement that you wave at your neighbors and let people out in traffic, that would be great for small town feel.
You know, honestly, I think that already comes with being in Hayden. I love it.
Yeah. Can we mandate that?
I don't know about mandating.
So that when people move here, they understand that you're supposed to be friendly.
Oh, yeah, I think that all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute, you didn't wave back at me.
Fonda or
Give me
Donna, are there any
somewhere.
issues? I don't want to waste city council's time. Are there any issues going down a road like this, having the conversations with city council where you can't do this because you got to address this in your vision, or this is the law, or is there something that I didn't consider?
Meaning, can you talk with city council at your joint workshop about amending the vision statement?
Yeah, or changing it or proposing it for the next iteration. In other words, there's,
Absolutely can.
okay.
So is there anything that, like, within our comp plan, there are certain things that need to be addressed within it? There isn't anything that needs to be addressed in our vision statement. Awesome.
Okay.
I think
Next.
that would be an excellent idea to have a discussion with the city council about.
All right. So that's where I started.
Okay?
Yeah, and I put a little footer on there. Simple and accurate is better than ambiguous, flowery language.
Yep.
So the goals analysis, I went through 19 goals, and I did the easy ones first. This is just simply administrative, but to me, the second goal should be the first goal because it introduces the comp plan. Like, here it is. I don't know why it was second. I'm sure it doesn't matter to anybody, but again, I did an analysis, so there you go. And so no changes to those. Goal 12, I think, should be omitted because, as you'll see, when I start rearranging goals, I don't feel it's necessary anymore. So if you want to just like put an asterisk next to that and look at it when we talk about similar things, since I don't have them memorized,
Redundant or what?
it will be
Okay.
if we
Oh, it
follow
will be.
this. So when I hit the goal that, since I don't have these memorized, I have 19
Yeah.
goals memorized, if somebody sees one that looks like it, say, okay, here's where, because part of it went into one and part of it went into another. I basically took goal 12, cut it in half and stuck it in two different goals.
Okay.
Keeping goals 14 and 16 is written. I thought they were just fine. And those are the easy ones. So what are you guys' thoughts? Or you need to see more before you can actually say one way or the other?
Yeah, let's see it overall. But that's kind of swapping goals 1 and 2 kind of goes back to some of these. I was like, maybe these are in the wrong place.
Yep, wrong place.
So
Yep, like 9 and
makes
11.
sense as you know, kind of just a dialogue as you read it.
Yep.
So are we saying that they're labeled in such a way that number 1 has a higher priority, or?
It's not a matter of that. I just, when, as a reader, in other words, if I wiped my eyes like it was the first time
Flows
seeing
better
it,
that
it just flows better. Like, hey, here's our comp plan. Our very first goal should be, hey, here's our comp plan, and it's a living document, and we can update it, and we can,
I definitely agree with 14 and 16.
okay. All right, any other comments on this slide?
No, you're good.
Okay. So I looked at goals and policies, and I did a short analysis on how many times does the exact same policy point at the exact, or goals that are very similar. So we talk about density, or we talk about parks, or we talk about, in other words, how much of this is going on, and how does that impact our ability to do well on planning and zoning? When, a presenter says, okay, we considered goals 3 and 5 and these, 12 policies that go along with it, I personally saw a lot of redundancy. Just going through these 5 here, 2 were used 3 times, 3 were used twice. This one does have a number that were used once, but the point is there was still some redundancy. And so I smushed them all together and made one goal out of those 5 goals.
Out of 3, 5, 7, 11, and 17?
Yep. Because 3, 5, 7, 11, and 3, 5, 7, 11, and 17 all talk about the same kinds of things. I'll give you the end of the story now. We had 19 goals. When I'm done with this, we have 9 goals.
Oh, I like that. It would make our job so much easier.
Well,
I think it would make the city's job easier.
I didn't look at it as a convenience factor. I looked at it, if we're going to have a document that communicates our city's priorities, that we want an interested person to read and understand. I think this is easier, personally. That doesn't mean everybody's brain is wired the same way, and it may not be for them. But for me, replacing 5 goals with this, and please look at 3, 5, 7, 11, so you're not just nodding your heads. I really,
No, but yeah, give me a minute.
yeah. Do note that I want, or it would be my desire, that all development considers adequate park and open leisure space for every neighborhood. I realize we have some legacy neighborhoods. I look at what's right here on Prairie Point, Gross,
Where,
Grouse Meadows, yeah, and that's a style of development, and it's a great, people live there. I would personally like to see all future development not look like that. Everywhere where we develop something, because sometimes people just buy a little piece of land, and then a different guy buys this piece of land, and the projects are never related, and then houses and houses and houses and houses. I want every development ideally to say, okay, we've got some houses here, where's our open space to go next to it?
Now,
that
I think though, if we're doing infill and things that are promoted, it's gonna be really hard to do that because these parcels are smaller.
It might be, but it's a goal. I'm not saying it's a standard. I'm not saying it's a law. I'm saying I think it's a worthwhile goal to, as development happens, regardless of the type of development that happens, that it must consider and implement. Again, these are just words to start with. Maybe we get rid of the word implement, but whatever. It's just, this is, again, a concept. It's a thought. It's a conversation starter.
the other thing about that is that if we put it out there to not only our citizens, but to potential developers, that this is our goal, this is what we want our city to look like.
What's what I believe
It's
people
what
want
we
off the
want,
surveys.
right, and encourage developers to develop that kind of project here.
Yep,
They can do the high-rise apartments elsewhere,
yep,
but this is when they develop here, this is what we would like it to look like.
yep. Again, the city went, a whole year of citizen engagement for the 2020 comp plan. Priorities were communicated. There was the mayor in 22 or 23 had the most recent citizen survey, and it echoed a lot of the same things. It was, I think, primarily a different set of people answering the questions, but the answers didn't deviate too much.
Right.
So I assume you guys have read 3, 5, 7, 11, 17. Is there anything that's in those that isn't in here that you want in here? Is this a good direction, a bad direction?
I think it makes sense because you get too many goals in there and it starts to lose its effectiveness.
I know, I just don't want to give the appearance like I'm just spoon feeding the rest of planning and zoning, so
You're not.
beat me up here.
No, I like it. I mean, you're putting into on the paper, kind of what I've thought all the time when reading these, is
Okay.
that it's a little,
There was a lot of.
So are you all
Trying to-
interested in telling city council this is
that
a
we'd
direction
rather
we'd like to
this
consider?
direction rather than make more,
Okay.
but to make fewer that actually say it rather than so much redundancy.
The goal is a little wordy, it's a little long,
It's a draft.
but it's good. I like,
Well, and again, I took 5 goals,
yeah,
so it has to be a little, there has to be some words in there, right?
I
right.
think this is actually 2 goals.
Could be. Maybe we split it in the future, sure.
Yeah. Because one's addressing parks and how the neighborhoods look, and the other one is basically talking about,
I just had a goal that said if we're gonna develop, this is what we want. So that was my mentality.
Yeah,
It's not omnipotent. All right, ready to move on?
yeah, go for it.
Hey, how about that? Yeah, that's a good point. I haven't talked about this yet. So I said the slideshow is short because I had no idea what the reaction would be. I did not dig into the policies yet. Again, when I write policies and procedures for a living, we write the policy first and then we figure out what supports it. So we have to agree on the first thing before we dig into the second thing.
Exactly.
So I'm not digging into policies, so again, this will not be that long. All right, let's look at 4, 8, 10, and 15. Same pattern, right? 1 and 3 are used all 4 times, or 1 and 13, 2, 4, 14, and 16 used 3 times, 5, 7, 9 twice. Only 2 of all the policies are used once. So as a layman, lots of overlap, right?
Right.
And I'm not saying this is bad. I'm just saying I'm looking at it differently.
Sure.
So you guys ready for a single policy to replace 4? In fact, the legacy policy 4 is literally the last sentence, more or less.
Yeah. I like that one.
and Hayden doesn't really seek annexation, correct?
No, but again, we can reword that.
Yep.
It's more the concept, the idea of annexation and how to deal with it.
Or just approving.
Any thoughts, concerns? Does this cut too much out of 10 or whatever number, random number that's up there? There's 4 of them to choose from.
You lose a little bit of 10,
Yep.
talking about neighborhood integrity and character.
Yeah, because I thought again,
You kind of had that in the last one.
The first
yep,
one.
it was, yep, the
Yep,
first one was all about development.
Yep.
Is this something you guys want to take to council to talk about?
I think the concept of what you're after
Yep.
is really good.
Yep.
And I think that we, meaning not just us,
Mhm.
but us in partnership with city council,
Mhm.
could make a lot. I think we could do a lot better by using this concept rather than let's write a whole bunch more goals and policies.
Mhm.
I think this makes more sense to do it this way.
Okay, should I press on?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so then I went to 6 and 7. As you can see there, 5 out of 8 were completely redundant. So again, I found another high point of it, and so I came up with something that I think our city needs. This one's
That's really good.
just a draft.
Yeah, I feel like that's.
Now, are you getting rid of 7 with this? Is that what you're saying?
6 and 7 go away, this one becomes whatever number is open.
Yeah, this encompasses.
Yeah, I agree. I do.
Because you're
like that, blending them together and removing some wordiness of the two.
I think that when you get rid of the redundancy,
Mhm.
that people have an easier time getting behind it.
It's, yeah, looking for clarity. Clarity is,
Yeah, I think clarity's good.
any thoughts, city?
I think this one needs some wordsmithing.
It all needs wordsmithing. These are
That's
ideas.
what the partnership group meeting is about.
Yes, these are just ideas. I didn't even go through this twice. I wrote it once and I didn't look at it again. These are just my raw thoughts.
So far, one of the obvious themes to what you're doing here is simplifying things and narrowing it down to less goals. Because it can get to a point where somebody's walking up and they're like, well, I've gone through 19 different goals, and then we're halfway through the meeting and we're like, what did he just say again?
Sure.
Lost me back on the last
So,
week.
and you can meet 2/3 of the goals by meeting 4 of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
So are you guys comfortable going forward with this and some wordsmithing?
Yeah,
All right.
well, I am.
All right, next one was 13, 18, and 19. Again, this one had more used once as did the first one, but there was still some pretty healthy redundancy to me. And so out of that, I came up with this. I hope would lead to projects that help with traffic. Setting up neighborhood nodes, you know, when you can walk down to the corner store to get your milk instead of driving in your car and driving all the way to up Government to Albertsons or Super One. One, I feel that this goal I wrote builds a sense of community, and two, helps with the traffic issue. I know we have a neighborhood node out on Prairie and is it Atlas or Ramsey, right? But we really don't have good neighborhood nodes here.
This is like a good 5-paragraph essay.
I think the neighborhood node idea is very important.
And I'm not talking about going and, you know, knocking down Granny's house and building a neighborhood node, nothing like that. We just obviously have to do this where it's intelligent.
Well, and again, that's free enterprise and market that will drive that. We just need to make sure that as a city, we support that so that people don't have to necessarily drive into the main part of town.
And that goes back to small town feel, which is kind of a nebulous concept, but I think.
Okay, when I was a kid, parents would put a buck in my pocket and send me to pick up
Right.
whatever all the time. Yeah. It's funny, for a small town, there's some things about Hayden that aren't very small townish,
Yeah.
even though we all like to, you know, beat our chest and say we live in a small town. So are you guys comfortable going through with whatever wordsmithing needs to be and discuss this with city council?
Yeah,
Good work.
thank you. That was, I like when you color outside the box.
I think you said it, but we were thinking something else.
Right. No,
Sorry.
kidding. I feel like,
Yeah, you're just trying to make us look bad.
No.
no.
Everybody's brain thinks different. So anyway, any questions on the concept, et cetera, et cetera?
No, I think that us going through one at a time, I think we just pointed out the redundancy.
Yeah.
And I think this was great. Thank
Donna, do you have,
That's why
do you
you-
have slides to, show
Did
for
you wanna
this?
share-
Anything that
share
from
anything
city
with us?
council?
No, I'm gonna take your, this meeting here and, add it to the information that was provided by city council for a joint workshop between us and them.
Okay.
So if you have comments that you want to be added to that joint workshop, will probably happen in late November or early December
December.
because of meeting schedules.
Okay.
It meet on your P&Z schedule is pretty full, so in November and potentially December. So we could have a meeting on another Monday that's not a meeting night of the commission and invite the council, or we could have it on a Tuesday night.
Let's
It's
have it
not
when
a
we
city
don't have,
council meeting.
let's have it when we don't have other, commitments.
So are you guys flexible with a Monday or a Tuesday? Either way,
I can be.
I can send out kind of an invite.
Travel a little bit this month.
November?
Are there any dates that don't work for anybody? Maybe I should say that.
Currently, you're saying the 6th and the 20th, we're pretty full.
Say that again?
The 6th and the 20th, we're pretty full in P&Z.
Yep.
I think I can do kind of anything around the except for Friday nights, I'm taking on basketball coaching.
Obviously, after the 6th, I'm out of the picture.
The 20th is that week of
Only
Thanksgiving.
temporarily.
Pardon
The
me?
20th is that week of Thanksgiving.
Right.
The kids are out of school, yeah.
I would say that either one of our, if one of our meetings is. Okay. Not us, not city council, right? I know, we pretty much had the summer off, so you're hitting us hard.
All right,
27th or 28th, would you think?
would be good. Is that what you said?
So the week after Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
That'd be fine.
yeah.
All right. We'll look at our calendar. That doesn't work.
Does that work?
More than one, but we might.
No,
I might
the
suggest
week after Thanksgiving.
planning and zoning that,
So
Yeah, more
a
than
month from now, yeah.
does P&Z have a meeting on November 13th?
No, the 20th.
20th.
Is it?
That's good.
Is that bad for you, Donald?
There is nothing on the 13th?
Oh, that's not bad for you.
No, that's fine.
13th
I
of
can't do the
November.
13th.
Oh, you
Yeah.
can't.
I have another night
Suggesting
meeting.
that it's not a council meeting night, it's not.
No, I have
P&Z
11 night meetings a
night.
month that I have to
Let's
cover.
do it Sooner rather than later.
You know what, we're gonna we see each other so much.
Can't be here the 13th.
I can't be here the 13th.
Is the 14th, is that
Let's do it every week.
14th is a council.
is it council meeting?
Can you be here the 15th?
Nope. I'm out the 15th
How long
and
is
the
the
25th.
council meeting on the 14th? Could you do it after that? Before it? Before it?
Just based on how long council meetings go, it may not be a great idea to do it after a council meeting.
Just an idea.
Before.
Why are the 31st, 1st, 2nd, why is that first week in November not good?
The first is a Friday.
First of November is a Wednesday.
No, the 1st of November, is Wednesday.
Oh, first of November, sorry.
So Thursday is the only night that I'm completely unavailable.
How about November 1st? Ooh, not
I'd have to
No,
call
no,
it.
that doesn't.
bad idea. Okay, okay.
What? It's,
Can I,
I was here on
Wednesdays
my,
don't work for me.
guys, I was here on my 46th wedding anniversary last week, so.
You are awesome. We
Oh,
understand
oh.
that.
can I then kind of, I don't know, I was kind of thinking that the future land use map might be discussed a little bit in this meeting, and it was in your packet or not for discussion.
No.
No,
Goals and
I'll
policies.
explain later.
But I did do some driving.
All right, do
I,
we have anything else we need to talk about?
No, that's it. We'll coordinate on our end, and then I just needed to make sure that Monday and Tuesdays would work for you guys.
Commissioners, anything to add to this?
I think you did a great
No,
job.
I think it's a good thing, and
Team effort.
This was brought this via the city by the council.
Yep,
Yeah, so it wasn't like you're driving this, so
yep,
I
yep.
think that's important for people to understand.
That is true. City council did ask us to look at the goals and policies, so we've done our job. We'll present our ideas to them and then we'll powwow and see what they say. All right, we'll call this adjourned.
Thanks, Bert.
Thanks for coming.
Did we not figure out a date though? We just.